The legislature in Guåhan is back from recess. We are currently on item 18, consideration of the daily file in our agenda. We will begin with the third reading file, and there's only one item, and that is Bill number 236-37 COR. Clerks, please read the title.
Bill number 236-37 COR, as substituted on the floor and amended in the Committee of the Whole. Introduced by Committee on Rules by request of I Maga'hågan Guåhan, the Governor of Guam, in accordance with the Organic Act of Guam. An act making appropriations for the operations of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the Government of Guam for fiscal year ending September 30, 2025, making other appropriations and establishing miscellaneous and administrative provisions.
Roll call.
Senator Barnett. Senator Barnett, nay. Senator Blas. Senator Blas, nay. Senator Brown. Senator Brown, nay. Senator Dueñas.
Senator Parkinson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At this time, I make a motion to excuse members not present.
On the motion to excuse senators from voting who are not present, is there an objection? Seeing no objection, that motion carries.
Senator Dueñas excused. Senator Fisher. Senator Fisher, aye. Senator Lujan. Senator Lujan, aye. Vice Speaker Muñoz Barnes. Vice Speaker Muñoz Barnes, aye. Senator Parkinson. Aye. Senator Parkinson, aye. Senator Perez. Senator Perez, nay. Senator Kanata. Senator Kanata, aye. Senator Sen Augustine. Senator Sen Augustine, aye. Senator Sen Nicholas. Senator Sen Nicholas, aye. Senator Shelton. Senator Shelton, aye. Senator Taitagui. Senator Taitagui, nay. Speaker Terlahi. Speaker Terlahi, nay.
Bill number 236-37 COR received 8 ayes and 6 nays and 1 excused. Bill number 236-37 COR is duly passed by the body. We are now on brief extension of remarks. The floor is open for brief extension of remarks. Senator Sen Nicholas, you're recognized on brief extension of remarks. The time is 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a wonderful day for us all. It's a wonderful day for the racing community. It's a wonderful day for all our children of Guam. Just amazing. I'd like to thank Senator Jesse Lujan. Thank you, sir, for being brave. Senator Tom Fisher. My good colleague, Senator Roy, Senator Joe Sen Augustine, Senator Amanda Shelton for her inspiration for this amendment, and Senator Parkinson for helping me brainstorm. It's a wonderful thing. It's a gentleman. And Senator and our Vice Speaker, a wonderful Vice Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes. This is a wonderful day. For nearly 2 years, they've stalled this racetrack to the point where it's been derelict, broken into, and now the work begins to restore this wonderful thing for all Guam's children and all Guam's people. This is a really, really wonderful day, and I'm just so happy. Hopefully, like I said, we can get it open before Christmas. I'm trying to, a lot of people came up to me and talked to me about, your speech is very patriotic. It's a wonderful thing to live in a country like ours. Doesn't matter which state, where you are. Always remember, The reason why I'm so patriotic is because I foresee what's coming. We need to stand together in the face of tyranny, in the face of oppression, where freedoms our freedoms may be in jeopardy. Our region is becoming a hotbed of what could be maybe a repeat. What I don't want to ever have to sing is, Uncle Sam, my dear Uncle Sam, will you please come back to Guam? I don't ever, ever, ever want to sing that song again. And this is a way, maybe the rest of our nation can follow our example here on Guam and show them how patriotic we can be. The fight for the race was a fight for patriotism. It's a fight for America. It's a fight for all the colors who call Guam home and enjoy that racetrack. I was just looking at a picture earlier. It's a wonderful picture. It was an inspiration. All the colors, everybody. Wonderful thing. When they gave us liberty in Fort Benning, Georgia, and we went out, there was a bunch of guys from Guam. There was a white guy. There was a black guy, half Chamorro. There was a Filipino, and you could tell in our uniform we're not white. But there was an old man, a white old man, and he came up to me and he goes, "Thank you for our service to our country." And he paid for everybody. He paid for all our meals. Returning the favor of being an American here on Guam, it's the right thing to do. I have three members from my family who are service members, and I would hate to see them go to another place, anywhere in the country, and get mistreated. And I thank all those people who were my inspiration, came up to me and thanked me for that. And this raceway was something that we needed to restore. And not only that, we got everybody to work together and produce a pretty substantial budget, a very good budget, and I'm very proud of you all. And I'd like to thank all of those who came out today. The racetrack, let's get the work done. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. On brief extension of remarks, is there any senator who would like to be recognized on brief extension of remarks? Senator Barnett, you're recognized.
Madam Speaker. I'd also like to welcome our visitors to the legislature today. We voted on a budget bill today. Contrary to what many believe, this was not a bill on the racetrack. This was a bill that gave the Guam Department of Education $47 million less than what they asked for. This is a bill with a budget for education that the superintendent of the Guam Department of Education says will barely be enough to make payroll. this budget process has been, I've only been through one other budget process, and that was the one last year, and it was a complete 180-degree turn from what we did last year. Last year, we proffered amendments with appropriations, and we were able, through the support of our colleagues, to direct money to where it needed to go. However, with this budget process, that opportunity, which is absolutely germane to the budget process, was taken from us because a majority of colleagues, for whatever reason, felt that it wasn't important to give the Guam Department of Education the money they need to fix the schools, to give the Guam Department of Education the money they need to hire security guards so that Finnegodson and Weddingale don't get broken into every other night. We also killed the opportunity to fund the Guam Police Department, to pay for police presence at our schools. Yet we're in here clapping as very critical areas of our government. Yes, the racetrack will open, but Guam Memorial Hospital, the Guam Department of Education, the Guam Police Department, we shorted the cancer patients $2 million, but we want to celebrate today. While there may be some things for some people in our community to celebrate with the passage of this bill, which I assume may be signed into law by the governor, but I say the areas that were most needed, the areas most in need of attention, the areas most in need of appropriations, those areas were neglected. They were neglected for the promise of a supplemental budget bill that everybody's going to be fighting to get a piece of. When we had the opportunity to address these shortcomings and these shortchangings here in this chamber, here in this process. And I wish the racers luck, because with this budget bill passing and this amendment, you're now going to try and force the Chamorro Land Trust to do something that it has said it does not want to do. And so today I voted no, and it had nothing to do with people wanting to drag race or off-road or motorbike. God bless you guys. But it had everything to do with standing up for our school kids, standing up for our island. There were amendments in this budget process that we didn't entertain that would have funded more police cycles to put more police officers on the streets. But our priority was not the public schools. Our priority was not the public safety. I think it's clear to see what our priority was. So clap or don't clap, I stand by my vote because it was the right thing to do. We had every opportunity to address the needs of our cancer patients, the needs of our school children, and the needs of our island in this budget process. But sadly, we didn't do that. So while some may say that this is a wonderful day, I disagree. Si Diyos Masi, Madam Speaker.
Si Diyos Masi, Senator Barnett. On brief extension of remarks, is there any senator who would like to be recognized? Senator Taitakui, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon to my colleagues and our guests. This has been a rough budget session, I can tell you that. And I want to thank the OFB staff who was here during that time. It took them a while to get in here, but we got them in here. I'd like to thank them for all their hard work, and especially to all the hard work from the legislative staff. Thank you. And a special thank you to my staff over at my office, Rowena, Pete, and Mark. Thank you for all your hard work. The budget bill is what we're here most especially to pass, is a budget bill. That's our main goal as senators, to pass. Unfortunately, this budget fell short, very short. My good colleague Franjonia mentioned the cancer trust fund was shortened. Last year they received $3 million, which still was not enough compared to that. How many people on this island have cancer? So, it's not a good day today. Like the former speaker said, it's not. They are supposed to get at least $3 million, and they only got $1 million. $1 million. Is that telling the public that, oh, no, cancer's not on this island. There's not many cancer issues here. We don't have them. And you all know that's not true. I stand on my principles. I'm not afraid to rock the boat, to do what's right. There are people out there who are dying. And we have a chance to help that person and the family that's trying to help their family member, their loved one. I'm not going to be silent. How can you make change if you're silent? I'm not going to stand on the sidelines expecting other people to speak up. I will speak up. I'm not afraid. And I will fight for what's right, transparent, and accountable. Madam Speaker, I had an opportunity to speak to a couple people last night who called me and said, these individuals, they watch religiously the legislature. In fact, it was funny because one of them said that even if our favorite program is on, they will turn the channel to find out if the legislature is in session just to watch it. But what they saw this time around, they were very disappointed. And they said, Senator, can you please at least tell your colleagues, allow a person to finish their conversation. And if you have, what's that word she said? I said, is it a point of personal privilege? She goes, yeah, wait until they're done. Keep it in their mind, their point of personal whatever. And then say it, but don't disrupt, because we're watching. We want to hear what every senator has to say. So I said, no problem. I'll bring it up to my colleagues. So I brought it up. We should have a little bit more decorum in here. And she said, can you also tell a senator that I'm also an old hag? So if he wants to call me an old hag, have at it. That was very disrespectful. And I said, where did you hear this? Well, they could see that individual saying that, and we heard it from one of the other senators who mentioned that that's what he said. So I'm an old hag too. And I apologized. I said, I don't know, sometimes there's just no respect in this hall. People can't agree to disagree. But what I'm going to do is make sure I stand up for what's right, the principle of things, and be heard. Because there's just too many people standing on the sidelines, and that's their prerogative. Standing on the sidelines, waiting for someone else to say something. Because they're either too afraid or don't want to rock the boat. Well, I'm rocking the boat and saying what a lot of people have on their mind too, and that is they're very disappointed with this budget and how it transpired this session. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Taitakwi. On brief extension of remarks, Senator Brown, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And, you know, I also voted against this budget bill because I believe we need to do responsible spending of the people's money. And yes, you know, let's remind ourselves that's the reason we were here for the last couple of weeks, is to address the budget bill. Anything unrelated that got added, particularly one issue that some seem to be here celebrating with the racetrack, you know, that bill could have stood on its own. Obviously, the votes were here. So there's no reason to stick this issue in the budget bill and use that as a cover for what some of my colleagues, the previous speakers, have relayed is not funded. You know, during this time when we seem to say, oh, we have all this additional excess revenue. And yes, unprecedented in the history of Guam to have a budget that has grown to close to $400 million more than it was just a mere 5 or 6 years ago. And you would think that with all this additional money, the most critical things that we say and what our people tell us are the important issues that they're concerned with, you would think those areas, not that they should receive more money, but they should be prioritized. And I'm sure, Madam Speaker, in the months ahead as we head into next year, we're going to start seeing the cracks in this process. We're going to see all those critical areas that were underfunded. And let's be hopeful that there's going to be additional money coming in to cover those costs. With all this bragging and clapping and celebration, we cannot keep our public libraries in the villages open 5 or 6 days a week for our children and anyone else in the community who wants to go to the library to have that opportunity. Because the library, even with the additional $300,000 that was added this year that was supposed to be part of their share, is still underfunded. Are we having a conference? Should we step out or step in? Can we cut my time since I'm patiently waiting for rude colleagues? Is it safe to speak now, Madam Speaker? I can hear myself or try to hear myself.
Please proceed.
Thank you. We have those with disabilities in our community that are not going to receive service from the government of Guam this year because we've underfunded DISIT. We've underfunded the Department of Education. I'm sure we're going to be here for another crisis at the Guam Memorial Hospital once again in the months ahead. I hope the money's still going to be there to cover all these additional costs. And talk about irresponsible budgeting. For those colleagues here that submitted continued appropriation amendments that amounted over $91 or $92 million, and yet we're told there's only $27 million left for this 2024 fiscal year. And that's unaudited. We don't even know after what's going to be left. But I don't know how you add that amount of $92 million into 27 and see what you're going to come up with. But that is not responsible budgeting. I'm glad we didn't address that, and I hope we address a responsible supplemental budget, because there's no doubt these critical needs that are unfunded in this current budget that has been passed today, it's going to come up. And yes, the argument that's been brought forth about the underfunding of the cancer care, is that something we're clapping and celebrating today? Because I don't know anyone in here, including myself, who's not been within proximity touched by cancer, or who may in the future be touched by cancer. It's a vicious, vicious disease to experience, especially if not yourself, if you have to deal with the dying of a loved one who's affected by cancer and dying from cancer. But yes, colleagues, let's clap and celebrate, because, you know, we gotta look good, like we really did something important here. If we can't budget with whatever money we have, including this increased budget for the most critical things we need in this community, what have we accomplished? This is not anything to celebrate. If anything, we should be looking at how are we going to address these shortcomings, because it's going to come back knocking on our door in the near future. And I hope we do the right thing. Because this isn't all about fun and games, my dear colleagues. These are serious issues that we should be responsible for. I mean, the people put us here, I assume, to do the right thing. Sometimes it's very hard to do that because doing the right thing sometimes isn't that popular. But we have an obligation to our people to do that. I assume they expect nothing less than that from us. So, Madam Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to comment on this bill.
Thank you, Senator Brown. On a brief extension of remarks, is there any senator who would like to be recognized? We're going to take a 1-minute recess. We're back from recess. We're still on a brief extension of remarks. Is there anyone who would like to speak on brief extension of remarks? If not, colleagues, it's come to my attention, there are nominations from my committee that are time sensitive. The committee reports are still routing, or some of them have not begun to route. So we're going to recess until Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Objection, objection, objection.